January, I did a video on Charles Leclerc, the championship winning rookie and only Formula 2 season in 2017 because it was incredible. But he is not the only driver to have had an incredible rookie season in the second tier, because George Russell also had an incredible rookie and only season in F2 in 2018. Now Russell, like Leclerc the year before him, had come into his debut F2 season as the reigning GP3 champion. And again, like Leclerc, he'd taken said GP3 championship in his rookie season. Russell had signed on to drive for Art Grand Prix. That was the team he'd also driven for in GP3 as well, and a team that's probably one of the most recognizable team names in the junior formula scene, having seen so much success through the junior racing ranks, including in past years of F2, or rather GP2, having taken the driver's title 4 times a 4 at the hands of Nico Rosberg in 2005, Lewis Hamilton in 2006, Nico Hulkenberg in 2009, and then Stoffel van Dorn in 2015. Russell was in a good place then for this season of F2. At the opening round of this F2 season in Bahrain, Russell would qualify on the front row for his F2 debut, only 6/100ths off of pole sitter Lando Norris. And during the feature race, he would find himself slipping backwards, face second to finish in 5th place, behind Albon Markelov, who had started from the pits by the way, Camara and Norris, who had gone on to win the race. Not such a bad first race, but having started second, Russell would have been hooping to aim for the podium, but didn't quite come. But that's just about as good as this weekend would get, however, as come Sunday's sprint race where he'd started 4th, reverse grid for the top 8 for the feature race and all, he got a terrible start and fell all the way down the order, and that was his race run, as he wouldn't be able to come back for that, and he finished 19th, 1 lap down on winner Markelov. With an up and down debut weekend done, round 2 took F2 to the streets of Azerbaijan, a track that the previous 2 times F2/GP2 had been there had caused chaos and carnage. And this time would be no different. In qualifying, Russell found himself setting the 3rd best time, again behind Lando Norris, but also Alex Albon, who'd set the pole time for the feature race. But it was technically second at the start for Russell, as Norris had stalled on the grid on the formation lap, meaning he had to start from the pit lane. But that 3rd/2nd quickly became 1st for George, as he took the lead right at the start, which is a great way to start to try and get a first win. But what wasn't so great was later on in the race, after some carnage and chaos had already unfolded, Nick De Vries was going in too deep down the inside of Russell at turn 1 and forcing Russell to take avoiding action in the escape road, and well, with the pack as close together as they were, that resulted in the young Brit dropping down the order, and he eventually went on to finish the race in P12. Not what he would have been hoping for, but in the sprint race, he finally caught a break. After starting 12th, he made his way up the pack, overtaking cars and avoiding any drama that unfolded, to eventually find himself battling for the lead. A battle he would come out on top in after a brilliant drive from 12th on the grid. George Russell took his first podium and win in F2, properly getting his season underway, I suppose you could say, as he found himself at this point sitting 6th in the championship on 27 points. He carried that winning momentum into weekend 3 in Barcelona, while where he didn't attack pole, he was 4th behind Albon on pole, De Vries in 2nd and Giotto in 3rd. He turned 4th place at the start to a feature race win. His first feature race win of the season, since, Baku was the sprint race he won. He then moved up from 8th on the grid to 4th with the flag, with the fastest lap in the sprint race to cap off a strong weekend, which did wonders for his championship. As I said, he'd been 6th in the championship at 27 points, 28 off championship leader Norris, coming into Barcelona, but having finished 4th with the fastest lap in the sprint and having won the feature, which is the race that provides the big points after all, Russell had leapt up to 3rd in the standings on 62 points, now just 18 off Norris, who had finished 3rd in both races in Barcelona, and only 5 points off Albon, who had finished 5th with the fastest lap in the feature race and 2nd in the sprint. Now Russell would be looking to build on that strong Barcelona weekend in Monaco. However, whatever to Christ had cursed Charles the previous year in Monaco had clearly decided to pay George a visit, because he left his Monaco F2 weekend with the exact same thing that Charles did, a double DNF. Seriously, what is it with the drivers who'd eventually go on to win the championship in GP2/F2 in 2016, 17 and 18 and having a crappy weekend in Monaco? Both George and Charles had double DNFs, and Pierre in 2016 had a 15th and a 12th after starting the feature race from the pit lane. But George had qualified 16th to begin with in Monaco, which, not a great start anyways in a place like Monaco, and it was in an accident in both races that saw the double DNF come his way. It was a weekend to forget then, but he would be looking to put it behind him and move on to the Nice weekend on the schedule, which took F2 to France and the circuit Paul Ricard. And move on from Monaco is exactly what George did, because he ended up winning the feature race from pole position, surviving the rain that ended up falling, while the three ahead of him in the standings all failed to score in that feature race. So 29 points gained for Russell and none for them. That's where the good of his weekend ended, as he was the last classified driver in the sprint 12 laps down, but he had still outscored all his rivals that weekend, which moved him up to second in the championship and only 13 points behind Norris now, who was still leading the way. From here, over the next 12 weekends in Austria and Silverstone, Russell went on a really strong run of form, where he had another win for pole in the feature race in Austria for his fourth win of the season, followed by moving up the grid to finish second in the sprint race, a result that allowed him to leapfrog ahead of Norris to now take the lead of the championship by 10 points. Silverstone brought another pole position the way of the him driver, but in the feature race it was advantage Albon, as the Thai driver was the one to go on to win while Russell finished in second, also getting a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane to boot. And in second is where he finished for the sprint race as well, and scoring the fastest lap in both races for a really strong weekend, scoring in total 38 points. And with Norris only scoring 11 points across the weekend, it meant that Russell's 10-point lead grew to a 37-point lead as F2 headed it to its last round before the summer break. Inside round in Hungary, Russell had qualified in fourth, but then had to start for the pit lane due to a clutch problem. That leading to him then later retiring for the race because of the issue, so not really a great way to start the weekend, but a silver lining, he would manage to come back and score a point in the sprint race as he went for last on the grid to 8th at the checkered flag. Norris's finishes of second and fourth in those two races had allowed him to close up to 12 points behind, and Albon had also closed up to 30 points behind after taking a 5th place and a sprint race win, but Russell still held the championship lead. When F2 rocked up the spot after the summer break, then Russell found himself setting the second quickest time in qualifying, being beaten to pole by Nick De Vries by 4/10, and he would turn it into his 8th podium of the season with a 3rd place finish in the feature race, outscoring both his main rivals who'd finished in 4th and 5th respectively, though they did outscore George in the sprint race where said ART driver finished 7th while Norris was 2nd and Albon 3rd, allowing Norris to close to 5 points behind and Albon to 27 points behind, with 3 weekends, 6 races left in the season. However, Russell would extend his advantage by 4 points in qualifying for Monza as he took pole, which at this time in the second tier did award you with 4 points opposed to the 2 that you get for pole today. But he lost the lead right after the start as Markelov got ahead of him off the line, and through the race he would also drop behind Tatsuki Makino, I probably mispronounced that, sorry, and Albon as well to claim a 4th place finish. A couple of places ahead of Norris, so extended again the gap except for to Albon, but he would go on to add to that in the sprint race. He would extend his gap further. After starting 5th, Russell would power his way to a 5th win of the season to extend his championship lead out to 219 points against Norris's 197 points, while Albon trailed on 176. A lead of 22 points over Norris and a lead of 43 points over Albon meant that Russell could claim the F2 title at the penultimate race weekend of the season in Sochi. With 48 points left available after said penultimate race weekend, Russell would hit to outscore Norris across the weekend by 26 points or more and outscore Albon by 5 points or more to claim it early. In Sochi, he would outqualify Albon, who only managed 5th, but found himself starting 1 place ahead of Norris, who'd qualified 2nd to Russell's 3rd. But things came undone for Norris in the feature race as he retired from a wheel not being fitted properly, exactly the opposite of what he would have been wanting or needing from this weekend. Him needing to attack this weekend with a chance to close up to Russell, but it was great for Russell and Albon as well though. Albon, who were going to win the feature race, while Russell could only claim a 4th place finish, but he would win the sprint race for win number 6 of the season. Albon was on the podium again as well with a 3rd place finish, while for Norris, another DNF to close out a disastrous weekend which knocked him out of championship contention as Russell had scored 29 points across the weekend, meaning that the gap between them was now 51 points, with, as I said, 48 left available. However, the title was not won for George just yet, because Alex Albon had scored 35 points in Sochi, moving up to 2nd place ahead of Norris and 37 points behind Russell. It was definitely one hand on the trophy for George, as all he had to do was, well, not be outscored majorly by Albon in Abu Dhabi, but it was not confirmed just yet. Come qualifying in Abu Dhabi, Russell would stick it on pole position and extend the gap from 37 points points to 41. And that meant all he had to do in the feature race was finish 8th or higher and the title would be his, even if Albon won with the fastest lap in both of the races of the weekend. And in the end, George went a bit better than finishing 8th. In fact, he went second places better because he won the feature race for win number 7 of the season. And that was that with Albon failing to score. George Russell, with one race to spare, was Formula 2 champion in his rookie campaign. Currently one of only 5 drivers to win it in their rookie season. The others being, of course, the aforementioned Charles Leclerc in 2017, Nico Hülkenberg in 2009, Lewis Hamilton in 2006, Nico Rosberg in 2005, and then most recently Oscar Piastri in 2021. Not to mention, Russell also tied with Van Dorn and Leclerc for the most wins in a single season of this second tier category. Both of the other two mentioned also claimed 7 wins in their respective title winning seasons. In the sprint race, the final race of the season, Norris finished in second place while Albon scored just 1 point, and that combined with Lando's 5th place from the feature race meant he managed to clinch second place in the standings ahead of Albon. Not that that really mattered for Russell though, he'd already sealed it up and bested the pair of them, who had ended up being his main rivals. Albon had his strong moments throughout the season, as had Norris, and he was perhaps the most consistent of the 3 drivers across the season, given he'd only won 1 race, the first race of the season, yet he was in contention right up until he had that double DNF in Sochi. But neither of them could stop George Russell, who ended up coming out on top. Anyways, I'll leave this one here. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here for more Formula 1 content. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.